We have with us today Gene Bailey. He will be giving to us his icebreaker speech. Are there any, do you want me to ask this question, or is that yours? Okay, all right. Gene Bailey actually just joined us a few months ago, joined us at our open house in January, officially became a member in February. So he is here. I'm really excited to hear his first speech, his icebreaker speech, where we get to learn more about him. And with that, I will bring up Gene Bailey.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. While on the runway of my life, while on the runway of my life, I'd like to ask, are there any former track and field athletes in the room tonight? Any former track and field athletes? Excellent. I get to share with you something near and dear to my heart. In the sport of track and field, there is a field event known as the long jump. The purpose of the long jump is to measure the distance that an athlete can jump with a running start. There are four elements of the long jump. There's the athlete, there's the runway, there's the takeoff board, and then there's the pit. Webster's dictionary defines runway as a piece of ground, or a piece of ground in which airplanes descend and take off. For the long jump, the runway is a piece of ground in which prepares the athlete to gain the greatest velocity, in addition to connect with height at the takeoff board for the ultimate goal of distance. As we know from physics, velocity times time plus height equals distance. My runway journey begins in the year of love and war, in the year of 1967. In February of that year, the Monkees, hit group, their song was playing on the radio, I'm a Believer. On television, you could find Bonanza, Gunsmoke, and the Andy Griffith Show. And in Columbus, Ohio, a small couple by the name of Bill and Geneva Bailey were bringing home a new baby boy, a new son. They would name him Willis Eugene Bailey II, after his father. But they would refer to him in the family by a derivative of his middle name, Gene. He would go on to become the oldest, the youngest, and the middle child of the family. As an only child, Gene did receive the undivided attention of his parents. And he quickly grew and took a liking to racing. Racing kids on the boulevard in Columbus, and racing kids when they moved to Gahanna, Ohio, a little town east of Columbus, in elementary and middle school and on into high school. Gene found himself beating all comers in elementary, but when he got to middle school, found it a little bit more difficult and would lose. He made mistakes in running, but his parents would tell him, be patient, your time is coming. They instilled in me a strong belief, a strong faith in God, commitment to hard work, and a service to others. Both my mother and father served in government. My father served in 3 different departments of the federal government, labor, defense, and Veterans Affairs. And my mother served with the state of Ohio Auditor's Office. I still remember watching her as she prepared her Toastmasters speeches. for her Toastmaster club many years ago when I was in high school. And even at that time, I distinctly remember telling myself, I would like to do that one day. And so here I am. My runway journey made its way to Washington Courthouse, Ohio. There in the spring recess and in summer recess, on the front porch and with my paternal grandparents, I learned moral lessons, particularly about family value. Because my grandparents' home was the center of family news and community activity. My grandmother had recently become the president of the chapter of the NAACP in Washington Courthouse, succeeding her son who started the chapter, and would share with all the grandchildren the ABCs of life. She would say, Gene, with an A, aim high. Don't settle for second best. Go for the top. B, begin low. Be patient. It's a process. C, climb slow. Give yourself time to develop. But she would say, Gene, the most important, never forget D. Don't give up. It reminds me of a story that I would remember or come across years later. The story is of a great world speaker who shared a commencement address shortly after World War II. That speaker was Sir Winston Churchill. And as he approached the podium in the commencement address, a hush fell over the graduates. What would Sir Winston Churchill say? And he stood at the podium a full minute. And in that full minute, he said not a word. And then he said, never give up. And then another minute passed without a word he spoke. And he said, never give up. Never, never, never give up. I share that story with you because I'm so grateful that on the runway journey of my life, I had a grandmother, long before I knew of the story of Sir Winston Churchill, that shared with me the most successful, powerful success principle that I know of, and that is persistence. To persist. And so I'm eternally grateful for her sharing that with me. In my conclusion, I would hope that as you are surfing your channels during the summer months, and as you have your clicker in your hand, and you come across the Summer Olympic Games in London, England this summer, that you will remember back this speech and look for the long jump, the one who's running down the runway toward destiny. Madam Hostess.
So is that why Gloria didn't show up? She couldn't reach that level? Is that?